All right. Three, two, one. We are live. What a beautiful day. So, today in the gym, I started listening to this one rock band. I was never into rock band, but I got into Zeppelin, Zeppelin Nirvana. I was really curious. What's the story of Zeppelin? So, let's check it out. Zeppelin. I think the band is called Led Zeppelin. So, let's get into the story. Legendary. It is legendary. Nice. Okay. Legendary British rock band formed in 1968, originally known as the New Yardbirds. The group consisted of Robert Plant, vocals, Jimmy Page, guitar, John Paul Jones, bass and keyboards, and John Bonham, drums. We got Robert, Jimmy, John. Okay. Widely regarded as pioneers of hard rock and heavy metal, heavily influencing the music landscape with their innovative sound that fuses blues, folk, and rock elements. Emerged from the remnants of the Yardbirds, with Page seeking to create a new band. Page, the guitarist. So we got the guitarist, that's Jimmy Page. We got the vocals, I'm guessing this is Robert Plant. And then we got John Paul Jones and John Bonham. Really cool. Okay. Page seeking to create a new band. Debut album Led Zeppelin released in 1969, marking a significant turning point in rock music, featuring memorable guitar riffs and a blend of acoustic and electric styles. Quickly gained popularity through extensive touring, establishing themselves as one of the biggest acts of the 1970s. Sound is characterized by powerful guitar riffs, complex song structures, and Plant's distinctive vocals. Notable songs like Stairway, yeah, I think this is the one I've been listening to in the gym. Stairway to Heaven exemplified their ability to blend different musical styles, transitioning from gentle acoustic beginnings to explosive electric climaxes. His approach to music has inspired countless artists across various genres, solidifying their status as icons in rock history. Legacy and disbandment. Band success continued until 1980. So formed in, hmm, so let's say 10 years, when they disbanded following Bonham's tragic death. Relatively short career, Led Zeppelin released eight studio albums and sold over 300 records worldwide. Received numerous accolades, including a Grammy Lifetime Achievement Award and induction into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Reunited for special performances, notably at Live Aid in 1985, and a full concert in 2007 honoring Emmett Artigan, where Bonham's son played drums. Oh wow. Their enduring legacy continues to resonate with old fans and new. This is really cool. So in 2007, in almost like 20 years later, the son of Bonham played the guitars. That is really cool. That is really cool. Hmm. What are the major events in? Hmm. Tell me about how the band Led Zeppelin came about. Its origin, hmm, and what's happening? What's happening? History. Okay. Origin traced back to 1968, emerging from the ashes of another influential British rock band, the Yardbirds. Jimmy Page, the lead guitarist of the Yardbirds, found himself in a predicament when the band was dissolving. Remaining tour obligations to fulfill, Page set out to assemble a new group of talented musicians. His search led him to Robert Plant, impressed by Plant's performance with a band called Hobbs and immediately recruited him as the lead singer. John Bonham recommended his friend Bonham, though it took some convincing to get him on board. Plant recommended his friend Bonham, though it took some convincing to get him on board. John Paul Jones, seasoned session musician, Jones contacted Page and joined the band. Interesting. Newly formed quartet initially performed as the New Yardbirds to complete the remaining Yardbirds tour dates. Their first rehearsal took place on August 19, 1968, just before embarking on a tour of Scandinavia. After returning from the tour, Page changed the band's name to Led Zeppelin. The name was inspired by a humorous comment made by Keith Moon of The who joked that the band would go down like a lead balloon. The name was inspired by a humorous comment made by Keith Moon of The who joked that the band would go down like a lead balloon. Wasted no time recording the first album. They entered Olympic Studios in London in 1968, completed their self titled debut album in just 36 hours. This rapid recording process was possible due to the chemistry developed during the recent tour. While the band's reception in the UK was initially lukewarm, they found quick success in the United States. Hmm. Reached number 6 on the US charts, catapulting them to rock stardom. Popularity soared as they embarked on a 5-month tour, satisfying fans with their new intense brand of psychedelic rock. The psychedelic rock is very similar to the story of the Beatles as well, where they enter this phase of psychedelic rock. And you can clearly see that in the music videos and the lyrics. The sound was characterized by a blend of blues, folk, and hard rock elements, innovative approach to music featuring powerful guitar riffs, complex song structures, and Plant's distinctive vocals set them apart from their contemporaries. This unique style would go on to influence countless artists and help shape the genres of hard rock and heavy metal. Led Zeppelin continued to evolve their sound, experimenting with different musical styles and pushing the boundaries of rock music. Their legacy as one of the most influential and successful rock bands in history remains firmly intact to this day. Interesting. What was the first most popular rock band? I'm curious if this was the first one and they kind of kicked off the rock genre. Determining the first popular can be subjective, as popularity can be measured in various ways. Album sales, influence, cultural impact. Several bands from the 1960s are often cited as pioneers of rock music. Beatles. So Beatles was before Led Zeppelin. Frequently recognized as the most influential and successful rock band in history, formed in Liverpool in 1960. Innovative songwriting and recording techniques. Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band and Abbey Road are considered masterpieces. Cultural impact during the 1960s set a benchmark for all subsequent rock bands. Hmm. Emerging shortly after the Beatles, Rolling Stones, formed in 1962, became known for their blues influenced rock sound and rebellious image. They gained immense popularity with hits like Painted, Black, and Satisfaction. Longevity and ability to adapt to changing musical landscapes have kept them relevant for decades. Led Zeppelin, 1968. So first was Beatles, second was Rolling Stones, third is Led Zeppelin, credited as a precursor to heavy metal and hard rock. Okay. Precursor to heavy metal and hard rock, the debut album released in 1969 showcased a unique blend of blues, folk, and rock elements that captivated audiences. Iconic tracks like Stairway to Heaven and Whole Lotta Love, they achieved significant commercial success, especially in the United States. While Beatles are generally regarded as the first most popular rock band due to their unprecedented influence and success, both Rolling Stones and Led Zeppelin also played crucial roles in shaping the genre's landscape, contribute uniquely to the evolution of rock music, making it difficult to pinpoint a single first popular rock band definitively. This is interesting. Okay. So they all came about in the 60s, and these are the top three. And these were kind of the first ones. Hmm. What what was it about the 1960s that led to the birth of three most popular rock bands? I don't know if the question is well phrased, but let's see. Pivotal decade that created the perfect environment for the birth and rise of some of the most iconic rock bands in history. Something that we can also see is 1945, World War II ended, then maybe everybody was back home, everybody was now incentivized by their governments to make sure there's peace, make sure there's prosperity. A lot of money was put into the ecosystem, into the countries, or into the economy, and people were finally starting to, let's say, focus more on making babies, establishing families, and living life. And maybe this was kind of the Renaissance period of America, Europe. Let's see if this is right. Oh, this is the iconic image. I forgot which one. Is this is Nirvana? Is this Beatles? I think this is Beatles. I'm guessing Nirvana is pretty recent then. Several factors. Social and cultural revolution. Time of significant social and cultural upheaval. The period saw the civil rights movement, the Vietnam War and associated protests, rise of counterculture, and youth rebellion. Youth rebellion will always happen, where there would be a period where young people are doing really good, and then there will be a period where, for some reason, there would be a lot of aggression in the youth because there are not too many opportunities for them, and then there will be rebellion. Civil rights movement, Vietnam War, and associated protests. These events created a climate of change and rebellion that was reflected in the music of the era. By the way, the sun is so beautiful over here. Let me admire the sun for 2 seconds. All right, let's get back. Emerged voices of these generation expressing the frustrations, hopes, and ideals of young people. Technology advancements. 1960s saw important developments in music technology, improved recording techniques, popularization of electronic instruments, experimentation with new sounds and effects, allowed bands to create more complex and innovative music, pushing the boundaries of what was possible in rock. So, a lot of things coming together. British invasion, led by brands like the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, had a profound impact on the American music scene. This cultural exchange brought new sounds and styles to the forefront, inspiring both musicians and audiences. Youth culture and baby boomers. Baby boomers coming of age during this decade created a massive market for new music. Demographic shift fueled the explosion of youth culture, driving demand for rock music that spoke to their experiences and aspirations. Rock bands emerged as voices of this generation, expressing the frustrations, hopes, and ideals of young people. Improved recording techniques, popularization of electric instruments, experimentation with new sounds and effects. Massive market for new music, demographic shift fueled the explosion of youth culture, driving demand for rock music that spoke to their experiences and aspirations. Events like Woodstock in 1969 provided platforms for rock bands to reach large audiences and solidify their cultural impact. These festivals became defining moments of the decade and showcased the power of rock music as a unifying force. 1960s saw the development of various rock subgenres, including psychedelic rock, folk rock, hard rock. Diversification allowed for a wide range of musical expression and appealed to different audiences with the broader rock genre. The unique combination of social change, technological innovation, cultural exchange, and demographic shifts in the 1960s created an ideal environment for the birth and rise of influential rock bands. This decade laid the foundation for rock music to become a dominant force in popular culture for years to come. Hmm. This is interesting. How did the Vietnam War impact the lyrics and themes of 60s rock bands? Protest and anti-war sentiment used the platform to express opposition to the war. Credence, Clearwater, Revival's Fortunate Son criticized the class disparities in military conscription and the war in Vietnam. American students in London against American students in London against the war in Vietnam. Amer- Emerald can students for peace stop the war? Very interesting. Credence Clearwater Revival's Fortunate Son criticized the class disparities in military conscription. The Doors and Big Brother and the Holding Company incorporated sounds of war and helicopters in their music, evoking the conflict's atmosphere. Disillusionment and anger. War fueled a sense of disenchantment among young people, which was reflected in rock music. The optimism of early 60s rock gave way to more cynical and angry themes. Optimism of early 60s gave way to more cynical and angry themes. Songs like Edwin Starr's War directly question the purpose and morality of the conflict. Artists use their music to promote peace and bring people together. Jefferson Airplane's Volunteers aim to unite people in a time of national conflict and confusion. John Lennon's Imagine, while not specifically about Vietnam, promoted a vision of world peace that resonated during this period. Some songs focused on the experiences of soldiers. The Animals, We Gotta Get Out of This Place became an anthem for troops expressing their desire to return home. Country Joe McDonald's I Feel Like I Am Fixing to Die Rag satirically portrayed the soldier's perspective. The Animals, We Gotta Get Out of This Place became an anthem for troops expressing the desire to return home. I Feel Like I'm Fixing to Die Rag satirically portrayed the soldier's perspective. This is interesting. Anthem for troops expressing their desire to return home. Cultural critique began to offer broader critiques of American society and politics. Buffalo Springfield's For What It's Worth addressed the growing social tensions of the era. Phil Oak's White Boots Marching in a Yellow Land criticized American imperialism in Vietnam. Emotional depth. War pushed rock lyrics to become more sophisticated and emotionally complex. Artists sought to convey the horrors of war and its impact on both soldiers and civilians. Songs like Bob Dylan's protest anthems helped elevate rock lyrics to a new level of poetic expression. Vietnam War transformed rock music from primarily entertainment to a powerful medium for social commentary, protest, and emotional expression, pushed artists to engage with serious themes and use their music as a tool for social change, fundamentally altering the landscape of rock and roll in 60s and beyond. This is so interesting. So, from a different perspectives, some people just wanted war to stop. Some people were just angry and questioning that the morality, like why are we even in war? Some people are calling for peace and unity, how world peace would look like. Some people were sharing the soldiers' experiences that, hey, we want to get out of here. And some people were just talking about addressing the social tensions of the era, that how we, as addressing the tensions. Interesting. And American imperialism in Vietnam. Very interesting. Some were first hand experiences, some were meta level analysis, let's say. Which songs were most explicitly anti war? How did Vietnam influence the lyrics of Jim Hendrix? Careers of rock musicians? Interesting. What was what was his name? Jimmy Page, right? One of the lead guitarist. Jimmy Page. Tell me about the background of Jimmy Page. Born James Patrick Page on January 9, 1944. So at the time of 54, 64, 68. So he was 24 years old when they formed Led Zeppelin. Pretty young. Wow. In Heston, Middlesex, England, renowned as one of the most influential guitarists in rock history. Most influential guitarist in rock history. Early life and career laid the groundwork for his later success with Led Zeppelin. Born to James Patrick Page, personal manager, Patricia Elizabeth Gaffkin, a doctor's secretary. Family moved to Epsom, Surrey, when Page was 8 years old. New home that he discovered his first guitar, an acoustic instrument left behind by a previous occupant or visitor. Wow. Wow. Renowned as one of the most influential guitarists in rock history. And how did he get into guitar? When he was 8, they moved to a new house, and that's where the previous owner left an acoustic guitar. If that wouldn't have happened, we wouldn't have Jimmy Page, we wouldn't have Led Zeppelin. Musical beginnings. Began playing guitar at the age of 12 and was largely self taught. Early influences included rockabilly guitarists like Scotty Moore and James Burton, who played with played with Elvis Presley. The skiffle craze in Britain also inspired him, leading him to form a skiffle band and perform on the BBC's All Your Own program at age 13. After leaving school at 15 to pursue music, joined Neil Christian and the Crusaders as a touring guitarist. Career was temporarily halted due to glandular fever, prompting him to enroll in Sutton Art College to study painting. Hmm. Despite his illness, he continued to play guitar and began involved in London's burgeoning blues scene. Performed with notable bands like Cyril Davis All Stars and Alexis Corners Blues Incorporated. Quickly, his talent quickly made him a sought after session musician in London during the early 1960s. Played on recordings for various artists across multiple genres. His and versatility and skill were highly valued in the studio environment, leading him to work with prominent names such as the Rolling Stones and The Who. Hmm. So he did work with the Rolling Stones. Page's stint with the Yardbirds marked a turning point in his career after the band's dissolution. He formed Led Zeppelin. With this new group, he combined his electric blues background with innovative recording techniques to create a groundbreaking sound that defined an era of rock music. Mastering the guitar and his significant contribution to the evolution of rock music through both his session work and his leadership of Led Zeppelin. Significant role in Yardbirds, joined the band in 1966, played until 68. First approached to replace Eric Clapton in 1964, but he declined out of loyalty to his friend and recommended Jeff Beck instead. 66 attended a Yardbirds concert where bassist Paul Sample Smith announced he was leaving, offered to replace him, and was accepted into the group, initially playing electric bass. Soon switched to lead guitar. Oh, wow, the sun is beautiful. The sun is looking beautiful right now. Entire room is orange. We gotta check out the sunset. So we'll end this before 7. Well, let's go. Soon switched to lead guitar, creating a dual lead guitar lineup with Jeff Beck. Soon switched to lead guitar, creating a dual lead guitar lineup with Jeff Beck. Configuration produced the single Happenings 10 years time ago. Sole lead. After Beck's departure in 66, became the band's sole lead guitarist. With Page as lead guitarist, Yardbirds recorded one album, Little Games, which wasn't commercially successful but showcased his developing style. Live shows became heavier and more experimental under Page's influence, featuring elements he would later perfect with Led Zeppelin, such as extended version of Dazed and Confused. After Keith and Jim left in 68, he reconfigured the group to fulfill remaining tour dates. Hmm. This new lineup featuring Robert Plant, John Bonham, and John Paul Jones initially performed as the New Yardbirds before becoming Led Zeppelin, serving as a bridge between his session work and the formation of Led Zeppelin. I'm curious, why did Keith Reef or Ralph and Jimmy McCarty left Yardbirds in 68? Musical differences. So it wasn't like health issue or something. They actually wanted to leave, wanted to pursue a more acoustic and folk influenced direction, while Jimmy Page was interested in continuing with a heavier blues based rock sound. Exhaustion from touring was reportedly very demanding and exhausting for the band members. Desire for a new project, were interested in forming a new band to explore their evolving musical interest. They went on to form the folk rock duo Together and later the band Renaissance. Band had been working with producer Mickey Moss, whose pop-oriented approach clashed with the band's artistic vision, particularly Page's. So Page kind of had a style that he wanted to approach, and there were creative differences. Interesting. Changing music scene. The psychedelic and heavy rock scenes were evolving rapidly, and Ralph and McCarty may have felt their interests were diverging from these trends. After years of intense touring and recording, they may have simply wanted a change of, it was time to move on to new projects. So these are the two lead guitarists. I What was the reception? Were Keith, Ralph, and Jim McCarty successful in their career after? I'm just curious. Let's see. After leaving Yardbirds, was it a good decision or did they leave Led Zeppelin, which would have given them more success? Moderate success after leaving Yardbirds, but did not achieve the same level of fame as their former band. After leaving Yardbirds, they formed an acoustic rock duo called Together 69, started the progressive rock band Renaissance. Original lineup included Ralph McCarty, Ralph's sister Jane, Louis Senamo, and John Hawken. However, the original lineup only lasted until 71. Renaissance continued with new members and had some success in 70s, though Ralph and McCarty were no longer part of the band. Ralph worked as a producer for their bands, including Medicine Head 75. He formed a short lived heavy rock band called Armageddon. McCarty was involved in several projects, including bands like Shoot, Illusion, and Ruthless Blues. 84. He formed Box of Frogs with other ex Yardbirds members Chris Threja and Paul Samwell Smith. Paul Samwell Smith, okay. 95. McCarty and Threja reformed the Yardbirds and continued to tour. Tragically, Keith Relf died in 76 from an accidental electrocution while playing guitar at home, cutting short any further musical endeavors. Did not achieve the same level of commercial success or recognition as they had with Yardbirds or as their former bandmates who went on to join more famous groups like Led Zeppelin. Interesting. Okay. So now I know this. Okay. Tell me about the major events. About the major events that took place in Led Zeppelin's journey from 68 to 70. Marked by rapid success in the establishment of their iconic sound, formation, assembled the band, recruiting everybody, played together in a small room in London, instantly recognizing their musical chemistry. First tour is the New Yardbirds. Wow, this picture looks cool. Led Zeppelin. The first concert, the New Yardbirds. Interesting. The band embarked on a Scandinavian tour, fulfilling Page's remaining contractual obligations with the Yardbirds. Name change, UK tour. Officially became Led Zeppelin, began their first UK tour on October 4, 68. First North American tour from 68 to 69. Building their popularity in US, initially opened for other bands, but quickly became headliners due to their powerful performances. Debut album release. Released on, by the way, the sun is out. We might have sunset anytime soon. 5:58. Wow. We are having an early sunset today. The tour was crucial in building their popularity in the US. They initially opened for other bands but quickly became headliners. Was released on January 13, 1969 during their North American tour. It reached number 10 on Billboard chart and 6 in the UK. Led Zeppelin 2 was recorded while touring and released 69, reached number 1 in several countries, including the hit Whole Lotta Love, 69 to 70. The band performed extensively across North America and Europe, building a reputation for their energetic live shows. Led Zeppelin 3 was released in October 1970, showcasing a more acoustic and folk influenced sound. They became known for their heavy guitar driven sound, Plant's distinctive vocals, and their dynamic live performances. They had established themselves as one of the biggest rock bands of the world, setting stage for the dominance of the 70s rock scene. What did what role did Richard Cole play in early touring success? Interesting. Tell me more about the years when they continued touring. Engaged in extensive touring that was crucial for establishing their reputation and popularity. North American conducted multiple tours of North America during this time. The first tour ran from 68 to 69, consisting of 31 shows. 106 of their 139 shows were performed in the United States. Rapid rise tours were instrumental in building their fan base and commercial success in the US, grew substantially due to their energetic live performance. Increasing fees was charging around $1,500 per show. Their fees increased dramatically, performed at several major music festivals, including Atlanta International Pop Festival, Texas International Pop Festival, Bath Festival of Blues, and Bath Festival 1970. Oh, wait, my question was wrong. Success continued until 1980. Oh, oh, my question was wrong. I just asked about 1 year to ask about this entire decade. I thought they disbanded in 1970, but no, they disbanded in 1980. Concert during this period often lasted more than 4 hours. The band developed a reputation for extended improvised versions of this song during live shows. That is really cool when you could just keep going and have improvised versions. Debut album was released in 69 midway through their first American tour. Shift in promotion strategy, increasingly shunned television appearances, preferring to focus on live concerts. Period was crucial. Again, direct to consumer, D2C, they were going D2C. Period was crucial in establishing as one of the most compelling live acts. Their manager, Peter Grant, pushed the strategy of extensive touring to build their reputation. Very interesting. Let's ask this question again, but this time this should be 80, not 70. Okay, this is better. Legacy is one of the most influential rock bands in the history. Beautiful photo, beautiful poster. Led Zeppelin. Really cool. 68, New Yardbirds before adopting the name. Released in 69, quickly gained commercial success, particularly in US. Embarked on multiple tours across North America, significantly boosting their popularity, featuring hits like Whole Lotta Love, showcasing more acoustic sound. 71 to 75, Rise to Stardom. 75 to 7, Challenges and Hiatus. Later years and disbandment. 78 to 1980. Okay. Release of Led Zeppelin 4 in 71 included Stairway to Heaven, cementing their status as rock legends. This was followed by, so it just took them 2 years to become legends. Wow. Cementing their status as rock legends, this was followed by Houses of the Holy in 73. So these were the iconic albums. Record breaking tours throughout the early 70s became known for their massive concerts and record breaking tours, including sold out at Madison Square Garden, Physical Graffiti. That this double album further solidified their dominance in the rock scene with tracks like Kashmir. Hmm. Challenges and hiatus, car accident. 75 Robert Plant. Robert Plant, I believe that's the vocals, suffered serious injuries in a car accident leading to a hiatus from touring while he recovered. Presence. During this break, they recorded and released Presence in 76, which received mixed reviews but still achieved commercial success. Return to touring. Resumed touring with a major North American tour in they resumed touring. Sorry, I got a call from a friend. Returned to touring, they resumed touring with a major North American tour in 1977, which included 6 consecutive sold out shows at Madison Square Garden. They resumed touring with a major North American tour in 1977. Later years, the Outdoor, In Through the Outdoor, In Through the Outdoor. Released in 79, this album marked a shift towards more experimental sounds and was well received commercially. Nebworth Festival headlined 2 concerts at the Nebworth Music Festival, playing to massive crowds. Interesting. Tragic end. The band planned a North American tour for late 1980, but it was cancelled following John Bonham's death on 1980 due to accidental asphyxiation after excessive drinking. This tragedy led to the band's dissolution later that year. Hmm. What is? Tell me more. The day Led Zeppelin's John Bonham died. The death of John Bonham. Jimmy Page's house in Windsor, England. Band was staying there while rehearsing for an upcoming North American tour. It's interesting how they were really focused on North America. Rock drummer died after drinking 40 measures of vodka. A drinking spree killed the rock star John Bonham, an inquest heard yesterday. Drummer with Led Zeppelin group died through inhaling vomit after drinking about 40 measures of vodka in 12 hours. The East Berkshire coroner, Mr. Robert Wilson, recorded a verdict of accidental death. The court had heard from the Led Zeppelin guitarist Jimmy Page how age 32 turned up pretty tipsy for rehearsal at a Windsor studio. Personal assistant Mr. Rex King told how he and Mr. Page's assistant had to put him to bed after he dozed off on a sofa at his mansion. Drank about 40 vodkas. Hmm. Rehearsing at Bray Studios for their upcoming tour, he died. He had been drinking heavily throughout the day and evening, reportedly consumed about 40 measures of vodka in 12 hours. After rehearsals ended, the band went to Page's house, was put to bed after midnight, and placed on his side. Bonham was put to bed after midnight and placed on his side. John Paul Jones and tour manager Benji Lefebvre found Bonham dead. Official cause was accidental death due to asphyxiation from vomit. He had inhaled vomit during his sleep, leading to pulmonary edema. The coroner's report attributed the death to consumption of alcohol. No other recreational drugs were found in his system. His blood alcohol level was 276 milligrams per 100 milliliters. His remains were cremated. Ashes were interred at Rushock Parish Church. Cancelled their upcoming tour and ultimately decided to disband on December 4, 1980. Hmm. It ended their career as an active band, marking a significant loss to the world of rock music. Wow. I'll quickly turn on the lights. Okay, we are back. Interesting. How did the band's decision to disband affect their individual careers? Launched a successful solo career, releasing his first solo album, Pictures, at 11 and 82, explored different musical styles, including world music influences, several hit singles and albums throughout 80s and beyond. Initially struggled to find his footing as a solo artist, formed the firm with Paul Rogers in 84, releasing two albums, collaborated with various artists and released solo material, but didn't achieve the same level of success as with Led Zeppelin, focused on remastering and releasing their back catalog. Returned to his roots as a session musician producer, collaborated with various artists across different genres, released solo albums, and formed the supergroup Them Crooked Vultures in 2009. In 2009, band members struggled to match the commercial success they had with Led Zeppelin, explored different musical directions, allowing them to develop as individual artists. Occasional reunions and Led Zeppelin related projects kept interest in the band alive. None reached the same level of global stardom they had experienced as part of Led Zeppelin. This band, out of respect for Bonham and the band's legacy, ultimately allowed each member to forge their own path in the music industry. Hmm. Why did Led Zeppelin decide to disband? He was founded as at Jimmy Page's house when the band was staying while rehearsing. About 2 months after Bonham's death, the remaining members made the official decision to break up the band. We wish it to be known that the loss of a dear friend and the deep respect we have for his family, together with a deep sense of undivided harmony felt by ourselves and our manager, have led us to decide that we could not continue as we were. Felt they could not continue without Bonham as he was an integral part of the sound and identity. Led Zeppelin wasn't a corporate entity. Led Zeppelin was an affair of the heart. Each of the members was important to the sum total of what we were. While there were other issues affecting the band at the time, including substance abuse problems, Bonham's death was the primary catalyst. It would not be right to replace Bonham with another drummer and continue Led Zeppelin. Hmm. For immediate release from Bob Koss, getting the lead out of Led Zeppelin. How did the band's fans react to the news of the breakup? Oh no, are we talking the same thing? No, no. Perplexity messes the context up. We need to fix this. We need to fix this. Okay. What challenges did Led Zeppelin face between 1968 to 1980? What major challenges? Let's say substance abuse issues. Jimmy Page developed a heroin addiction, which began to affect his guitar playing performances, particularly during their 1977 North American tour. Addiction also caused him to be absent from the studio for long periods during the recording of In Through the Outdoor. This is really cool. Internal tensions and creative differences. As the band members developed individual artistic agendas, tension rose, particularly evident during the recording of White Album in '68. George Harrison, though not a member, this example illustrates typical band dynamics, felt frustrated by having his song ideas rejected by other band members. Tragic accidents. 75. Robert Plant suffered serious injuries in a car accident leading to a hiatus from touring while he recovered. Changing musical landscape. The band had to navigate the evolving music scene of the '70s while maintaining their signature sound. Concert related issues. The massive concerts and record breaking tours, while successful, often led to logistical challenges and put strain on the band members. Most significant challenge came on September 25, 1980, when drummer died. Cancellation of the North American tour ultimately resulted in the band's decision to disband. Many bands of the era faced challenges related to management and business decisions. I'm curious about this. Tell me more. Led Zeppelin's massive concerts often led to logistical challenges and put strain. Scale of the tours. 77 North American tour was their biggest ever, with 51 concerts scheduled over 51 concerts over three legs for 1.3 million ticket holders. Tickets sold at a rate of 72,000 per day, indicating the massive demand. Whoa, whoa, this is cool. Transportation used a 45-seat Boeing 707 called Caesar's Chariot to shuttle between cities. This was necessary due to the tight schedule and distances between venues. Boeing 707 to shuttle between cities. Hmm. All the equipment had to be airlifted to the United States in advance. When the tour was delayed due to Plant's medical issue, the band couldn't rehearse as the instruments were already shipped. Interesting. Security. Large crowds often led to security problems. For example, in Cincinnati, over 70 people were arrested as about 1,000 ticketless fans tried to gate crash the venue. In Tampa, a riot broke out after a concert was cut short due to a severe thunderstorm. Hmm. Strain on band members. The grueling schedule and constant travel took a toll on the band's health and well being. Jimmy Page fell ill with rockin' pneumonia early in '77 tour. John Bonham particularly disliked the constant flying and waiting around for gigs. Jimmy Page fell ill with rocking pneumonia early in 1977 tour. Backstage. The tour experienced unsavory backstage issues exacerbate, exacerbated by the hiring of John Binden as security coordinator. There were incidents of violence, including the band's entourage, leading to arrest. Hmm. Performance. Band often played for more than 3 hours without an opening act, putting immense physical and mental strain on them. Performances were described as grinding and not very inspired due to the tour's demanding nature. The stress of touring amplified personal problems. For example, Peter Grant was dealing with emotional pain from his wife leaving him during the 77 tour. Yeah, it is crazy. It is crazy. Tell me more about 1977 led Zeppelin tour experienced unsavory backstage issues. Experienced significant backstage issues, particularly. So I think we have kind of looked into all the challenges over here. We're specifically looking into the massive concerts and their issue. Okay. Hiring of John Bindon as a security coordinator. Bindon was an actor and bodyguard with connections to criminals in London. He was an actor and bodyguard with connections to criminals in London, hired by Led Zeppelin for the first time for the 1977 tour. Not all band members approved of his hiring. July 23, after his show at the Day on the Green Festival in Auckland, serious incident occurred. Bindon, along with the band manager Peter Grant, tour manager Richard Cole, and drummer John Bonham, were involved in a violent assault on Bill Graham's staff member. Jim Madzorkis, a security guard, was severely beaten by Grant and Bindon. Their band manager is Peter Grant. Okay. Madzorkis reported being punched in the face, kicked, and even claims Bindon tried to gouge out his eyes. Reported in retaliation for his assaulting Grant's 11-year-old son. Biden, Grant, Cole, and Bonham were arrested, led to fines and suspended sentences for those involved. Led Zeppelin never returning to America after this tour. Oh no. This resulted in Led Zeppelin never returning to America after this tour. After 77, they never returned to America. That is crazy. That is crazy. So I think we looked into, yeah, okay, 77. So experimental sounds, headline two concerts. The 1980 they disbanded. Oh wow. Tour atmosphere. The tour was described as having extraordinary amount of tension and a darker atmosphere than previous tours. Jack Harms of Shoko noted that the criminal types around the band had deepened, contributing to the negative environment. Some shows were described as grinding and not very inspired, with a tense atmosphere and personal issues with the band. $2 million lawsuit was filed against the band by Bill Graham, required legal intervention to allow the tour to continue. Hmm. Marking a dark period in the band's history. Interesting. So there was substance issue, there was internal tension, tragic incident, musical landscape, concert issue, death of John Bonham, and management issue. Do we want to look into? Tell me more about the substance abuse issues of Led Zeppelin band members. Jimmy Page developed a heroin addiction around 73 that lasted well into 80s. Addiction significantly affected his guitar playing, especially noticeable during the 77 North American tour. Oh no. This is a cool image, but mm, this is interesting. Very interesting. Noticeable during the 77 tour, lost a noticeable amount of weight due to heroin use, overcame his heroin habit in the early 80s, but was arrested for cocaine possession in 82 and 84. Acknowledged heavy recreational use throughout 70s, known for heavy drinking from his teenage years. His consumption during tours led to unpredictable and sometimes aggressive behavior. 79 began showing signs of fatigue and illness during performance. Robert Plant, all band members were involved to some extent. General band issues, particularly the issue, created a dark and menacing atmosphere around the group, affected their performances, with some shows described as grinding and not very inspired. Within the band and their entourage, contributed tension with the group and affected the musical output, led to power shift within the band, with Plant taking more control as Page's addiction worsened. Hmm, interesting. Combined with other factors, ultimately it contributed to the band's decline and eventual breakup. Page has since downplayed the impact on his playing, claiming he could focus when needed, has become a topic of discussion criticism among fans and music historians. Hmm, interesting. What were the creative differences between Led Zeppelin band members between 1968 to 1980? Jimmy Page wanted Zeppelin to be a marriage of blues, hard rock, and acoustic music, topped with heavy choruses. Hmm. I'm again admiring the sunset right now. It is beautiful at 6:30 p.m. Acoustic music topped with heavy choruses. Robert Plant's lyrics became more prominent. Oh, this is a good one. This is a good photo. It's a good photo. This is also good, but this one is beautiful. Robert Plant's lyrics became more prominent as the band progressed. John Paul became increasingly important in producing music, often composed on keyboards, especially in later albums. John Harrison frustration with having his song ideas rejected, shifting songwriting dynamics. Initially, music was often developed first, sometimes with improvised lyrics. Page Plant songwriting partnership became predominant in 70s, in 1970, with Page supplying music and Plant emerging as the chief lyricist. Later stages, Page took a backseat in composition, with Jones becoming more important producing music. Band's sound evolved from blues based rock to include more acoustic and folk influences, especially from Zeppelin 3 onwards, showed a progression towards a more mellow and progressive sound dominated by Jones' keyboard motifs. The album In Through the Outdoor was heavily influenced by Jones' songwriting and use of synthesizers, marking a significant departure from their earlier style. Plant focused on different direction after Zeppelin, playing standards and in a more R&B style. Page maintained his interest in blues and hard rock. Jones explored more progressive and synthesizer-based sounds. Page, as the producer, had specific ideas about sound and recording techniques, which he implemented throughout the career. He deliberately changed audio engineers for different albums to maintain control over band sound. Hmm. Live performances became heavier and more experimental over time, sometimes contrasting with the studio sound. Very interesting. Okay. Now I'm curious if we have some quotes. Jimmy Page quotes about Led Zeppelin. Let's see. Music should be like making love. Sometimes you want it soft and tender, another time you want it hard and aggressive. Actually, I'm getting one made up with eight necks, and I'm going to get a wheelwright to make a big rim around it, and then I can cartwheel off the stage. Right from the first time we went to America in 68, Led Zeppelin was a word of mouth thing. You can't really compare it how it is today. When Bonzo came in with Black Country Woman and showed me the chord changes, I thought, right, now that won't look very good on the album credits. Now would it? Of course, Peter Grant took care of all that nonsense. Interesting. On the band's sound, I wanted Zeppelin to be marriage of blues, hard rock, and acoustic music topped with heavy choruses. Blues, hard rock, and acoustic music topped with heavy choruses, a combination that had never been done before. Lots of light and shade in the music. Page's vision for the band's musical identity blending various genres. I had a lot of ideas from my days with the Yardbirds. The Yardbirds allowed me to improvise a lot in live performance, and I started building a textbook of ideas that I eventually used in Zeppelin on the band's dynamics. But the thing is, my whole life was Led Zeppelin, and that's all there was to it, on the road or off. His deep connection to the band and how integral it was to his identity. I consciously kept changing engineers because I didn't want people to think that they were responsible for our sound. I wanted people to know it was me as a producer and his desire to maintain control over the brand's sonic identity. I think I really captured the best of our output, growth, change, and maturity on tape. The multifaceted gem that is Led Zeppelin. I really captured the best of our output, growth, change, and maturity on tape. Illustrates Page's pride in the band's body of work and his belief in its lasting impact. First of all, what is blues music? Both a genre and musical form that originated in African American communities of the deep south of the United States, late 19th century, historical roots, emerged from a combination of African musical traditions, spirituals, work songs, field hollers, and narrative ballads, reflects the experiences and emotions of African Americans, particularly in relation to hardship, love, and social injustice. Gained mainstream popularity in 20s with its structure and themes becoming more standardized. Blues. Melancholic melancholic music of black American folk origin, typically in a 12-bar sequence. Rural southern US toward the end of 19th century, finding a wider audience in 40s as blacks migrated to the cities, the urban blues gave rise to rhythm and blues and rock and roll. Interesting. Most common structure is the 12-bar blues, which typically follows a 1-4-5 chord progression, include 8-bar and 16-bar forms, blue notes, flattened pitch that convey emotional depth. These notes can be found in third, fifth, or seventh degrees of the scale. Element reflects African musical traditions where a leader's vocal phrase is answered by a chorus or instrumental response, often express feelings of sorrow, longing, and resilience. Address personal experiences such as love, loss, poverty, and racial discrimination. Often follow an AAB pattern where line is sung over 4 bars, repeated over the next four bars, followed by a concluding line. Delta blues, originating from the Mississippi Delta region, Chicago blues, urban style incorporates electric instruments, country blues, acoustic instrumentation, and rural themes. Significantly influenced other genres such as jazz, rock and roll, rhythm, and blues. R&B. R&B is rhythm and blues, and pop music. Many iconic musicians across these genres have drawn inspiration from blues, not only as a musical form but also as a means of storytelling and cultural expression. Interesting. Now I'm curious about this one. Tell me more. Tell me more. Jimmy Page said, it's actually really cool to dive deeper into every single individual band member's story and then also find their quotes. Live improvisation. Yardbirds were known for their extended live improvisation, particularly during songs like Dazed and Confused, allowed Page to experiment different guitar techniques and sounds in a live setting. Really cool. Building a textbook of ideas, Page uses time with Yardbirds to develop and refine various musical concepts. Ideas include innovative guitar riffs, use of effects and dynamic song structures, application to Led Zeppelin. Many of the techniques and ideas Page developed with the Yardbirds became foundational elements of Led Zeppelin's sound. The use of a violin bow on guitar, which Page first experimented with in the Yardbirds, became a signature element in Led Zeppelin performances. Violin bow on guitar. Violin bow on guitar. Okay, okay. The use of violin bow on guitar, which Page first experimented with in the Yardbirds, became a signature element in Led Zeppelin performances. He took the blues based rock of the Yardbirds and expanded upon it, incorporating heavier elements and more complex arrangements in Led Zeppelin. The improvisational nature of Yardbirds' live performance translated into Led Zeppelin's ability to extend and modify songs in concert, were directly carried over from the Yardbirds to Led Zeppelin, albeit in a more developed form. Understand how to translate studio recordings into dynamic live performance is a key aspect of Led Zeppelin's appeal. Let's find quotes from other people. So now let's start. What's Plant's full name? Robert Plant's. Quotes on Led Zeppelin. On the band's impact. We were good at everything you would expect to be good because you could never find more talented musicians than these. Respect for his bandmates and their collective musical abilities. The past is a stepping stone, not a milestone. Illustrates Plant's perspective on moving forward and evolving as an artist rather than being weighed down by past successes. I think we are in a disposable world, and Stairway to Heaven is one of the things that hasn't quite been thrown away yet. Reflects Plant's recognition of these songs' enduring significance in rock music. It's sort of a feeling of power on stage. It's really the ability to make people smile or just to turn them one way or another for that duration of time. This emphasizes the emotional connection between the band and their audience during performances. The trouble is now, with rock and roll and stuff, it gets so big that it loses what once upon a time was a magnificent thing. Speaks to the commercialization of rock music and how it can detract from its original essence. The trouble is now with rock and roll and stuff, it gets so big that it loses what once upon a time was a magnificent thing. I don't know how much more expressive you can get than being a rock and roll singer. Emotional power of rock music and vocal expression. Live Aid was an atrocity. It made us look like loonies. Hmm. Candid remark reflects his critical view of the performance at this high profile event. My vocal style, I haven't tried to copy from anyone. It just developed until it became the girlish whine it is today. Self awareness and humor regarding his unique vocal approach. Interesting. Let's find more quotes if we can. That tumultuous, amazing combination of friends. We were great when we were great. We were great when we were great. Appreciation for the chemistry between the band members and their ability to create powerful music together. Kashmir to me is the definitive Led Zeppelin song, quintessential, showcasing the unique sound and style. Every band should end their show with Stairway to Heaven. In fact, The Who do a very nice version of it. Song's iconic status while also poking fun and its ubiquity. Interesting, interesting. So let's now look into John Bonham. With Zeppelin, I tried to play something different every night in my solos. I would play for 20 minutes, but the longest ever was 30 minutes. It's a long time, but when I was playing, it seemed to fly by. Commitment to improvisation and creativity during performances. There was absolutely no intention of splitting up. We had so many great ideas to use on the new album. John Paul Jones was incredible, coming to the studio each day with new instruments to play. My nerves before a gig got worse. I had terrible bad nerves all the time. Once we started, I was fine. His vulnerability and the pressure he felt before performing. I hated when people slag us off. We had done three tours during 70 and we finished off feeling we had just about had enough. Expresses frustration with negative criticism despite their hard work. Drumming was the only thing I was ever good at. Underscore Bonham's passion for drumming and his dedication to his craft. We once did 6 tours of America in 15 months. Intense touring schedule and commitment to their music. The band just goes from strength to strength. I keep thinking we are going to wake up one morning and find it's all over. Wow. This is crazy coming from John Bonham. Feeling is a lot more important than technique. On the creative process. There were times when I blundered and got the dreaded look from the lads, but that was a good sign. It showed I had attempted something I had not tried before. Willingness to take risk in his playing and learn from mistakes. Interesting. Now let's look at John Paul Jones. He who will not risk cannot win. There will be a Led Zeppelin as long as there's Jimmy Page, John Bonham, John Paul Jones, and Robert Plant. This isn't a nostalgia band playing the hits forever. If anything ever happened and somebody left, which I really can't see happening, I don't think we'll bother to carry on. The magic for me is as it is now. I've never actually seen a tribute band. I can't really get a hold of the concept. To me, it's old material. I have no interest in it. I want to see what's coming now. I think Led Zeppelin, I think Led Zeppelin stands for itself. We weren't trying to be political or anything like that. We were just four musicians having a good time. Led Zeppelin was a great band. I think we had a unique blend of our personalities, appreciation for the chemistry among the band members. Led Zeppelin was a tremendous success, but you don't get complacent. You just go from one challenge to the next. Importance of continual growth and adaptation. Led Zeppelin was a band of its time. It's a bit like trying to bring the dinosaurs back, really. Acknowledges the band's historical context and its place in music history. We weren't trying to make a statement, we were just a band trying to survive and make music. That was the extent of it. Focus on creativity and collaboration over commercial pressures. I feel for some reason he would have more stuff to say. Let's see. More John Paul Jones quotes on Led Zeppelin. On the nature of the band. We weren't like a group who grew up together and made it big. Led Zeppelin wasn't manufactured exactly, but it was put together by people who were already established in the business. Professional nature of the band highlighting that they were not childhood friends but rather skilled musicians coming together. It was a great band. I think we had a unique blend of our personalities. I think I was more of an arranger than anything else, and I enjoyed that role. Contributions beyond just playing instruments, showcasing his skills in arrangement and composition. We were all very much into what we were doing, and we had a lot of fun doing it. Enjoyment and passion that drove their performances. Very interesting. Tell me about the background of John John Paul Jones, right? John Paul Jones of Led Zeppelin. Early life. Born John Baldwin on January 3, 1946, in Sidcup, Kent, England. Came from a musical family, began playing piano at a young age, later learned to play bass guitar and other instruments. Respected session musician in London, working with various artists and arranging music. Joined 68 after being invited by Jimmy Page, whom he knew from session work. Played bass guitar and keyboards for the band. He was also involved in arranging songs and contributed to the band's songwriting. He played mandolin, guitar, and various other instruments on recording. He continued to work in music, collaborating with various artists and releasing solo material. Now, tell me about the background of John Bonham of Led Zeppelin. Early life. John Harry Bonham, 48, Redditch, Worcestershire, England. Started playing drums at age 5, received his first snare drum at 10. Snare drum at 10. Age 15, got his first full drum kit, which he described as almost prehistoric. Most of it was rust, influenced by jazz drummers like Buddy Rich, Gene Krupa, and Max Roach. Enjoyed British groups like Johnny Kidd and the Pirates, the Hollies, and the Graham Bond organization. He had built a strong reputation, one of the best drummers in the Redditch area, played in several local bands, including the Blue Star Trio, and Band of Joy with Robert Plant. Also did session work for various artists before joining Led Zeppelin. Recommended Bonham to Jimmy Page for his new band in '68. Page and manager Peter Grant saw Bonham play and were impressed. Initially received job offers from Joe Cocker and Chris Farlow as well. After much persuasion, including numerous telegrams, Bonham decided to join Led Zeppelin. Was known for his powerful playing, fast single-footed kick drumming, and distinctive sound. He exclusively used Ludwig drums throughout his career with Led Zeppelin. Hmm. Exclusively used Ludwig. Bonham is widely regarded as one of the greatest and most influential drummers in rock history. He was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in '95 as a member of Led Zeppelin. Rolling Stone named him the greatest drummer of all time. Interesting. And now, finally, let's go into Robert Plant. What do we have over here? Early influences on drumming, drumming style all over his career, his favorite songs, key moments. Okay, let's see. Early life 48, West Bromwich, England. Grew up in Helzowen, Dudley, and attended King Edward's School in Stourbridge. Stourbridge. Plant imitated Elvis Presley. He became interested in Chicago blues, Willie Dixon, and Delta blues, Robert Johnson. Influenced by jazz, soul, West Indian rhythms, and American West Coast bands like Love, Buffalo, Springfield, and Moby Grape. Yeah, it's interesting. Like they were listening to a lot of music originating in US. They were inspired by a lot of music originating in US, especially the blues, but they were all based in UK. And then when they launched their albums, released their albums, the albums weren't a commercial success in England, in Europe, but they were great in US. So then they started doing these massive North American tours. So this is very interesting. Made his first public performance as a teenager at Starbridge Seven Stars Blues Club. Played in several local bands, including the Crawling King Snakes, where he first met John Bonham and Listen. 66 signed with CBS Records and released few unsuccessful singles. Formed the Band of Joy with John Bonham. Later joined a band called Ob's Twiddle. Jimmy Page and manager Peter Grant were looking for a singer for the new band. Terry Reid, their first choice, recommended Plant. Page and Grant saw Plant perform with Obstreadle and were impressed. He left home at 16 due to conflicts with parents over his musical ambitions. Parents wanted him to become an accountant, which he refused. Worked various jobs to support himself, including laying tarmac for Wimpy and working at Woolworths. He left school at 15 to pursue music, causing tension with his parents. Briefly attended art college during a period when he took break from touring due to illness. Early passion for music, his diverse influences and challenges. Relationship with his parents affect his career. Parents were middle class, wanted him to pursue a more conventional career, specifically wanting him to be an accountant. They opposed his desire to become a rock musician. He left school to pursue music career against the wishes of parents, caused him to leave home, creating a significant rift. No support at the time after leaving due to his parents' opposition. He had to work various jobs to support himself. Despite coming from a relatively wealthy middle class family, he experienced financial hardship in his early career due to lack of parental support. He made peace with parents a couple years after leaving home. Plan's father did not fully accept his son's career choice until he saw the band's yearly earnings published in Billboard magazine. Credits his challenging period toughening him up and strengthening his character, likely contributed to his determination to succeed in music. Attending the premiere of the song remains the same, indicating some level of later support or acceptance. The initial lack of support pushed him to prove himself and pursue his musical ambitions with greater determination, ultimately contributing to his success with Led Zeppelin. Did his parents ever come to support his music career? Initial opposition, career tension, leaving home, he faced financial struggles, work various job, reconciliation, made peace with his parents, mentioned that he made my peace with my parents a couple of years later. Acceptance, did not fully accept his son's career until he saw the financial success reflected in Billboard magazine. It took time for them to recognize the legitimacy and potential of paths of Plant's chosen path. They did attend an event. It helped him toughen up and develop resilience, shaping his character as an artist. Unopened letter. Found an unopened letter from his mother written in 67 urging him to return home and pursue accounting. He expressed that had he opened it at the time. In a more recent revelation, Plant found an unopened letter from his mother written in 1967 urging him to return home and pursue accounting. He expressed that had he opened it at the time, it might have changed the course of his life. Wow. Tell me more. The letter surfaced while he was sorting through his belongings in 2020. Wow. The letter surfaced while he was sorting through his belongings in 2020. Trained to be a chartered, he had briefly trained to be a chartered accountant but had left that path just after 2 weeks to follow his passion for music. Hmm. The letter urged Plant to come home, stating that the accountant's office are happy to take you back. It also mentions someone named Sue waiting for him. Upon opening the letter decades later, Plant 67, and he opened the letter in 2020. 67, 30, 50 years later. Wow. Upon opening the letter decades later, Plant expressed that it brought a tear to his eye. He reflected on how different his life might have been had he opened it at the time, humorously imagining himself living a more conventional life. Plant's decision to pursue music over accounting ultimately led him to meet Jimmy Page in 68, which was a pivotal moment in forming Led Zeppelin. Acknowledged that If he had opened the letter and followed his mother's advice, he might have taken a very different path, possibly leading to a mundane life away from music. Poignant reminder of how small decisions and moments can significantly alter one's life trajectory. Choice to ignore the letter and pursue music instead led to his iconic status as the lead vocalist of Led Zeppelin, shaping rock history in profound ways. Hmm. Led Zeppelin in popular culture today. Let's see. Enduring musical influence continues to be a major influence on rock music, and musicians across various genres shaped the sound of countless bands that followed. Many modern rock bands cite them as key influence, both directly and indirectly through their impact on intervening generations of musicians. Whoa, this picture is cool. Hmm. Impact on guitar driven music. Guitar work remains highly influential, with many considering him as one of the greatest guitarists of all time. Riff based approach to rock music continues to be emulated and built upon by contemporary artists. Drumming style, particularly on tracks like When the Levee Breaks, has been widely sampled and imitated in various genres, including hip hop and electronic music. Album artwork, particularly for the fourth album, has become iconic and is frequently referenced in popular culture. Their fashion sense has influenced rock aesthetics, from the big hair of the 80s glam metal to more recent vintage inspired looks. Music continues to be played on classic rock radio stations and streaming platforms, introducing new generations to the sound. Frequently used in films, TV shows, and commercials, keeping their music in the public consciousness. Artists from diverse genres, including pop stars like Madonna, Shakira, and Lady Gaga, have acknowledged the influence on their work. Approach to album oriented rock and stadium concerts continues to influence how rock music is produced and performed today. Discussions about the music, including controversies over alleged plagiarism, continue to be part of the music industry discourse. Recent reissues of the catalog and new documentaries about the band have renewed interest in their music and history. Tell me more. Iconic uses in films have been used to enhance key scenes in films like The Big Short, hmm, Thor, Ragnarok, and Almost Famous, often adds emotional depth and excitement to pivotal moments. This is definitely really cool. The song remains the same. Hmm. For instance, Ramble On features prominently in Our Friend, accompanying a montage that captures the spirit of a character facing terminal illness. In School of Rock, Jack Black's character uses Immigrant Song to energize the scene, showcasing the song's versatility, versatility, versatility across genres. The Shrek series creatively incorporates Immigrant Song, blending humor with rock music to appeal to a broad audience. Historically been selective about licensing their music for film and television. Robert Plant has stated that the band only approves scenes that do justice to the songs, reflecting a desire to maintain artistic integrity. So they still are very selective in licensing. While initially resistant to licensing, the band's approach has softened over time, allowing for more widespread use of the catalog in recent years. Immigrant songs Stairway to Heaven and Ramble On have made notable appearances across various films and shows. Good Times, Bad Times was featured in American Hustle, while When the Levee Breaks appeared in The Big Short. Led Zeppelin's music is also present in TV series such as HBO's Sharp Objects, where multiple songs are strategically placed throughout the episodes. Enduring popularity of the music ensures that it remains relevant across generations. Their songs continue to resonate with both older fans and newer audiences discovering their work through modern media, evident not only in how their music is used but also in how it shapes the soundtracks of contemporary culture. How did they pick the name Led Zeppelin? How did they got their name? Interesting and somewhat humorous origin that reflects the band's early days and personalities involved. Keith Moon's comment. This is a really cool iconography. Name was inspired by a comment made by Keith Moon, the drummer of The Who. He jokingly remarked that a band featuring Jimmy Page himself, Jeff Beck, and John Entwistle would go down like a lead balloon, implying it would fail spectacularly. From balloon, like a lead balloon, from Balloon to Zeppelin, who was looking to form a new supergroup after the Yardbirds disbanded, found Moon's comment amusing. Instead of using balloon, which connotes something that deflates or fails, Page opted for Zeppelin, referring to the large lead. Hmm, would go down like a lead balloon. Lead balloon, Led Zeppelin. Hmm. Which connotes something that deflates or fails. Page opted for Zeppelin, referring to the large airships that were known for their grandeur and scale. Grandeur and scale. Dropping the A to avoid lead, Led Zeppelin, lead, lead. Oh, makes sense. Makes sense. To avoid, because some people would say lead Zeppelin, so instead they were like, let's drop the A, so it's lead, Led Zeppelin. Hmm. To avoid mispronunciation, Page followed a suggestion from manager Peter Grant to drop the A in lead, ensuring it would be pronounced as lead rather than lead. This adjustment helped solidify the name's unique identity. Led Zeppelin. Led Zeppelin. New Yardbirds. Before officially adopting the name Led Zeppelin, the band performed under the moniker New Yardbirds during Scandinavian tour. This was temporary title while they finalized a new identity. Name change became necessary after Chris Treja, a former member of Yardbirds, issued a cease and desist letter regarding the use of New Yardbirds. This prompted Page to adopt a new name before their debut album release. Name Led Zeppelin has come to symbolize not just the band itself, but also the heavy sound and theatricality that define their music, evokes images of power and grandeur, aligning well with their musical style. Led Zeppelin has become one of rock music's most legendary names. Rolling Stones, Led Zeppelin, most legendary names representing innovation and influence in various genres, particularly hard rock and heavy metal. Hmm, very interesting. Are all the members alive today? We know John Bonham is not, but let's see. Still alive, continues to perform and record music. Successful solo career since the band's disbandment. Also alive, remains active in the music industry and often participates in interviews and special events related to Led Zeppelin. Still alive, continues to work on various musical projects and collaborations. Interesting. Led Zeppelin album. What do they call it? Album iconography? Changing attitudes, frequent television timeless. Album artwork, right? Led Zeppelin album artwork. Let's see. So this is the Zeppelin. And in total, they got 8 albums out. One, two, three, four. Houses of the Holy, Physical Graffiti, Presence, In Through the Outdoor. Collaborated with notable artists and designers like George Hardy and Hypnosis. Hypnosis, known for their innovative approaches to album art. Hmm. Including hidden meanings and symbols, inviting fans to engage in deeper interpretations. Become iconic in its own right, often referenced in discussions about rock music aesthetics. Many covers have been celebrated in exhibitions and retrospectives, highlighting their significance beyond just being visual representation of music. Black and white image of the Hindenburg disaster, symbolizing the band's name, designed by George Hardy, rendered the photograph in ink to avoid copyright issues. Back cover features a photo of the band taken by Treja. Cover utilized a combination of collage photography and airbrush techniques, groundbreaking for its time, featuring an abstract representation of Zeppelin alongside a faded sepia photo of aviators. German aviators, designed by Richard Drew Zachron. Unique wheel design that allows images to be revealed through die-cut windows. Reflects themes of flight and has a surreal quality, enhancing the album's experimental nature. Four symbols representing each band member with no text indicating the band or album title. Includes a painting called The Hermit, which adds to its mystique. Controversial cover design by Hypnosis depicts nude children climbing the Giant's Causeway in Northern Ireland. Sparked discussions about innocence and exploration aligning with the album's themes. Unique cover with die-cut windows, revealing different visuals depending on how the inner sleeves are inserted. Reflects the band's eclectic style and artistic ambition. Cover is minimalist, featuring a black object on a white background that represents various interpretations, including themes of absence and presence in life. Absence and presence in life. Painting that changes when wet, symbolizing transformation and impermanence. Band's experimentation with new ideas during this period. Hmm. What are the hidden meanings? Whoa, that's the Beatles cover. Indeed, known for their rich symbolism and hidden meanings. Perhaps the most symbolic of all features no text, only four symbols representing each band member. Old man with stick on the cover, recently identified as Lot Long, a Wiltshire thatcher, represents a connection to nature and old wisdom. Inner gatefold features the Hermit Tarot card, symbolizing spiritual enlightenment and introspection. Depicts new children climbing the Giant's Causeway in Northern Ireland, interpreted as representing innocence, rebirth, and the ascension to a higher state of consciousness. Image sparked controversy, but also deep discussion about its meaning among fans. Zeppelin 3 cover features a wall well rotating wheel with various images that can be seen through die cut holes. Interactive element invites fans to engage physically with the artwork, creating different visual combinations. Hidden messages were inscribed on early vinyl pressings, including So Mote Be It and Do What Thou Wilt, referencing Jimmy Page's interest in occultist Aleister Crowley. The cover shows a New York City tenement building with die-cut windows. Interchangeable inner sleeves allow fans to create different scenes visible through the windows, encouraging exploration and interpretation. Features a black obelisk-like object interacting with people in various settings. Mysterious object called the Object has been subject to numerous interpretations from alien presence to a symbol of the band's power and influence. Came in six different covers, each showing the same scene from a different perspective. Covers were sold in brown paper bags, adding an element of mystery and encouraging fans to collect all versions. Hmm. Reflect the band's interest in mysticism, mythology, and the occult, as well as their desire to create a visual experience that complements their music. Very interesting. And that's the stream.